I still remember the exact sound of the notification that night. A harmless ping from my phone. The kind of sound that usually meant a meme from Jake. Or a reminder about weekend plans. It should have been ordinary. But that single sound split my life into two parts. Before and after I was sitting at the kitchen table. Laptop open, finishing reports for work. My girlfriend had left 4 days earlier. Suitcase rolling behind her. Eyes misty with tears, she told me she needed space. That stress from work and family was suffocating her. She said she loved me but needed time alone to think about our future. I believed her. I hugged her. Kissed her forehead and even carried her bags down to the car. The sincerity in her voice had been convincing, enough to melt any doubts. When Jake's text arrived, I expected nothing dramatic. I swiped it open casually, half focused on spreadsheets. 3 photos loaded slowly, one after another, as if the universe wanted me to feel. Every ounce of dread sinking into my chest. The first photo showed her stretched out on a beach towel, the sun catching her hair in a way I'd always admired. She wore the blue bikini I'd given her last Christmas. At first, my brain clung to that image. Her smile, the warmth of the sun. How much I adored her, but then my stomach dropped. She wasn't alone. Her ex sat beside her, his arm resting over her shoulders like it belonged there. The second photo was worse. The two of them walking along the shoreline, fingers intertwined like they'd never let go. The third removed any doubt. Her lips pressed against his under the shade of a beach umbrella. My hand trembled as Jake's message appeared beneath the photos. Dude, I'm sorry. My cousin is vacationing in Cancun and saw them together. Thought you should know. I stared at the screen, willing the images to rearrange themselves into something else. Anything else but reality remained unflinching. Just 4 days ago, she'd left me crying, swearing she needed space to think. Meanwhile, she had been boarding a plane with him, planning a week in paradise while I sat at home believing her lies. The betrayal wasn't fiery. It was icy methodical, crawling through me like frost. She had looked me in the eyes and asked for my blessing to cheat. I had given it unknowingly, helping her carry the very bag she packed for another man. I closed the laptop and looked around the apartment we shared. Her books on the shelves, her jacket on the chair, her mug with the chipped handle by the sink. It all mocked me, I thought. This isn't our home anymore. It never was. It was a stage for her performance that night. I sat in silence replaying her words, her tears the way she kissed me goodbye. The puzzle pieces aligned in the cruelest way. She hadn't needed space to think. She had needed space to betray. The next morning, my anger hardened into something sharper. I wasn't going to scream or throw things. I was going to act. I began with her closet. Every dress, every pair of shoes, each blouse she had left behind. I packed them into garbage bags. 12 bags by the end. I wasn't sloppy. I was deliberate folding, stacking, erasing. With every item removed, the apartment felt lighter, like stale air escaping a window. Her bathroom shelf was next. Bottles of expensive shampoo, creams she swore by, lipsticks that cost more than a grocery run. All swept into bags. I opened her jewelry box. Inside were gifts I had once chosen carefully. A necklace for our anniversary, a bracelet for Valentine's, the promise ring from just 3 months ago. My chest tightened, but I still packed them away. By afternoon, every trace of her had been erased. Then I called the landlord. I told him I needed to terminate the lease early. He didn't ask for details. Apparently, breakups causing sudden moves weren't rare. We agreed on a fee next. I called a locksmith within an hour. Every lock was changed when the locksmith handed me the new keys. I tested them twice, savoring the sound of the tumblers clicking into place. That evening, I dragged all 12 garbage bags to the curb. The apartment echoed without her belongings, but the emptiness felt cleaner, purer. I slept better that night than I had in months. She returned Sunday evening. I was at my parents' house for dinner. At 7:23 p.m., my phone rang. Her name flashed on the screen. I let it go to voicemail. Then it rang again and again. By 10 p.m., there were 27 missed calls. The voicemail started innocent confusion. Worry asking if I was okay. They shifted into pleading, swearing she could explain. Then came the anger demanding answers. Insisting nothing had happened. Her voice cracked in one message, sobbing that she had only run into her ex. The final voicemail was just crying. I didn't listen to them fully. I deleted them all a few days later. She cornered me outside my office. Her face was pale, eyes ringed with exhaustion. Vacation tan doing nothing to hide her collapse. She swore it was all coincidence, that the photos were misleading, that nothing had happened. I let her talk when she finished. I told her flatly that her belongings were likely in the city dump by now, and that she should have thought of the consequences before making her choices. She slapped me hard across the cheek. Then she cried, begged, promised to change. I walked away without a word. The harassment dragged on for weeks. She sent friends to plead on her behalf. At first, some believed her story, asking me if I'd overreacted. I forwarded Jake's photos and the conversations ended quickly. She started showing up at places she knew I went. The gym, the cafe, the grocery store, always with the same desperate lines. I changed routines, learned new routes. Cut her out of every corner of my life. The breaking point came when she showed up at my parents' house. During Sunday dinner, my mother listened politely, but told her firmly that I was an adult and she was no longer welcome. My father didn't bother with politeness. He told her bluntly that cheating and lying disqualified her from being part of my life. She left in tears and finally stopped appearing uninvited. 2 months later, Jake told me what I already suspected. The trip wasn't coincidence. She and her ex had planned it together, hand in hand like they'd never broken up. The cruel twist, he ghosted her soon after. She lost him and me in 1 week. 6 months later, I had moved into a brighter apartment. I was promoted at work. I had started dating again slowly, carefully rediscovering what it felt like to be with someone honest. A year later, I was engaged to Sarah, a woman who treats love as partnership, not manipulation when I told her the story. She simply said, "I'm proud you respected yourself enough to walk away." That's when I realized those 27 missed calls were never about love. They were about control. They weren't the sound of someone fighting for me. They were the sound of someone losing the narrative she had built. Now, when I think back, I feel nothing, not anger, not sadness, just indifference. And indifference, I've learned, is the purest freedom of all.